The I went to Riverside in '85 or '86 and watched the Cup cars with my dad. Watched Rick run a Winston West car, I think it was. Remember, my dad was like, that guy, that Folgers car is a car owner for the other cars. So remember that. And then another experience I remember is in Del Mar, they had a IMSA race, and Bobby Rahal was there and won and wore everybody out. And when I was around the people I knew and looked up to, I would just kind of stand and watch and more in awe. So I did that same thing with Rick, watching him over the years. And my connection really to Rick was, he gave me hope as a driver coming out of the off-road ranks that I could race an Indy car or go to the asphalt and race. But then, his brother Roger Mears and Roger Jr. raced the off-road trucks, and I watched them. My dad was working in the sport, so I was around. And then Casey and there were only a few kids in the pits, and Casey and I are on our little BMX bikes riding around and hanging out. So I just kind of gravitated towards the Mears gang, and they're all great people. And I spent a little bit of time with Rick over the last few years. He's moved back to North Carolina now, and probably hear more through Casey about how he's doing than really see him. I don't have a chance to see him often, but I do remember watching television, trying to watch him race. And I remember his fire out here on the front stretch. I remember a few of his wins. So it's cool to be here on this track doing the same thing.
Let's go right over here to the right, Dave Coleman, and then we'll go to Dick and this gentleman right here. John.
Dave Coleman, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Jimmy, the restart where Keselowski and Regan Smith got kind of tangled up there on the front. Were you ever in peril, and how did you get through there?
Yeah, we got up through the gears. I had a good run on the two, and I was thinking about putting them 3 wide, but both cars, Regan was kind of doing a good job, but pushed down Brad and didn't give me a chance to get in there, which was smart. And then he rallied around the outside of 1, and I thought he was going to clear the 2 car, which he kind of did off of turn 2. I thought, man, the outside's going to work well. But Brad got loose in 2 because they were so close to one another. And Brad did a great job of saving it. His car rotated so fast, I thought he was going to come across in front of me. But before we went into 2, I could see how close they were, and I checked up just a little bit. And I'm glad that I did, because it gave me time to get turned. And I think it was down on the apron and maybe even got a little bit of the grass to avoid the 2 cars that was spinning around. And fortunately, I cleared the 78. He got slowed up. He was slowed up from the contact and all that went on, and I cleared him. But that was the closest moment I had all day.
Go to Dick, and then we'll go to John.
Yeah, Dick Mittman, Indianapolis 500 old-timer. Jimmy, you won 58 races. Have you had a car in any of those races as dominant as this was today, or the one that you felt that was?
I've had a few, and if memory's serving me right, most times we didn't go to victory lane with them. It's just funny how that works out. You have the most dominant car, lead the most laps, and you run 3rd or 4th, or whatever it is. I think one of the most dominant cars I had in my career was at the Coke 600, my rookie year, and we led 300 laps of 320 something, right? How many laps in that thing?
So bad.
I slid through the pits. So that one was a tough one to swallow, but that was running through my mind to have such a dominant car. You go from the racer's mentality of race and win to how do I avoid from messing this up? And that's really how the last part of the race unfolded for me.
We'll go John, then we'll go to the gentleman here, Mike, and the gentleman back there. Go ahead.
John Bryant from Nazareth Race Cam. Congratulations to the 3 of you. My question is for Jimmy, though. We were watching you on TV when you were kissing the bricks, and your daughter didn't want to do it. What was the problem?
I don't really think she knew what was going on, and then the asphalt's pretty hot, so she got her hands down on it, and I think that scared her. But she's a very cautious girl, and she just maybe another few photos she would have warmed up to it, but she wasn't into it.
We thought maybe that she's 3 years old, and you and your wife kept saying that you don't eat dirt.
Yeah, we were joking about that too. We're like, here we are trying to keep her from doing things like that. I think you mentioned it, Chad, that we're just going against everything we're trying to teach her.
Mario had to share the podium
That's right.
Right here in the corner, and then we'll go to Mike, and then the gentleman back here.
Chad, I saw you write something on the bricks after you guys had kissed them. I just, I wondered what you wrote on there, if that's something you'd done before. And also, Rick, if you could kind of talk about what you saw in this guy when he was back in the Busch Series, to give him a chance. And obviously, he's probably far exceeded the expectations you had when you signed him.
I just signed him. I just put my autograph on there and put the 48 car in 2012. I know it'll be there for a year. So I just signed him, signed the bricks.
I got a call from Herb Fischel when Jimmie was about 16, I guess. Herb Fischel was the head of racing for Chevrolet, and he said, we got this guy in off-road trucks we'd like to see have a shot. And I think I was involved with a late model car, and he came over. It wasn't a very good car, and he drove it. And then I saw him pop up into, I think, in the Busch Series, and Jeff Gordon was with me and my son Ricky at Darlington, and we were parked pretty close to him, and he was either top of the board or second on the board. So we thought we'll go over and ask Jimmie about how to get around this place. Jeff and Ricky did, and I was with them, and Jimmie said, well, this is the first time I've ever seen the place. And so we've just had a relationship since he was 16 years old, and I've waited for him and bought him burgers when
You have.
I went to St. Louis when Ricky was racing, and his
Before I was ever
alternator
employed.
went out on the fifth
Yeah.
lap, and I had to wait 4 hours for Jimmie Johnson and buy him food and haul him around the plane. And so the night he asked me what he should do for his future, I said, I think we've got your future figured out, buddy.
Let's go Mike, gentleman here, and a couple in the back. Go ahead.
Mike Neff from FrontStretch.com. This is for Jimmie and Rick. And Jimmie, I want an honest answer. With Dale Jr. having the season he's having, taking over the points lead, you've now got, as somebody said earlier, the two probably favorites for winning the championship. Would you honestly rather have the only shot out of your shop and have everything focused on your car, or would you truly want to have the competition be with the 88 team?
Yeah, if both cars are in the hunt, it doesn't impact what goes on with the 48 team. I mean, the way the tools that Rick gives us, the way our shops are set up, if one, none, four, both, I mean, it doesn't matter. So, and it's great that and I've been in that position before with Jeff, and not in the same shop necessarily, but with the 5 car with Mark. It's great. What it does internally for our company, it far exceeds any type of competitive spirit that exists. And from a technical standpoint, we all go to the racetrack with the same equipment. It doesn't. No one gets favorites. There isn't any favorites. I mean, we all have the same equipment.
The first time I had to deal with that, I think, was back when Terry and Jeff were battling, and I think Terry won. And because we didn't work together as close back in those days as we do today. And looking back now at years when we ran 1, 2, 3 in the points a couple of years ago, I think as a whole our organization is the best. You can't look at the scoreboard with Jeff this year and say this is one of the best years Jeff's ever had, but he's been in position to win. I think he's led like the 3rd most laps, something like that. And Casey's coming on strong. I'm really proud of the 48 and 88 where they are right now, but I don't think you can count Casey out. And these guys are sharing so much information, and I'm beyond that nervousness when trying to get the teams together and say, look, what got us here is working together and sharing information. And that I think by having those 2 cars where they are in the points will give us a better shot. And I don't think a lot of organizations, it tears them down when they have that kind of competition. I think it makes us stronger, but I think we all have bought in, we live by it, we die by it, and we've been there since 1994. And so I think that gives us a better opportunity to win a championship.
Go ahead, sir.
Jeffrey Miller, Yahoo Sports. First, Rick, this is 8 wins for you here at Indianapolis. Have you been here for each of them?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, very good. And then When we come here in May with IndyCar, Ganassi and Penske seem to come to this track with a certain swagger. It seems like you guys have that now. Why do you have that?
Well, I hope we have that same swagger everywhere we go. I mean, that's what we try to do. We don't put any more effort in, I don't think, well, you can't put any more effort than we do here. But I'll tell you, when you start believing that you got it figured out, it's when you get your butt handed to you, because, you know, so many times when we've been dominant in a place, something happens at the very end, and that's what I was concerned about today. I think the competition here in this sport is really tough, but we've lived through this. We've seen him dominate Dover and come back, and we're 2 or 3 tenths off. And you know, I think his driving style fits his place. Jeff's always good here. Dale runs good here. Casey runs good here. I think our combinations work real well here. But, you know, again, like these guys said, the 2, the 18, there are a lot of fast cars out there today, and track position's important. But I think we don't look at Indianapolis as let's just put all our effort into Indianapolis, because they all pay the same points. And although, you know, you want to win these special events, but to win a championship, you got to be good everywhere. And I think I heard Chad talking to Jimmie. I'm telling Jimmie he's got to go ring the victory bell at work, and Chad says you got to go test, and he says, so I don't know what I'm going to get to do, but I mean it's every track's important, but you know, I don't think we do run well here, and we've been able to win 8 of these things, but you know, when we come back next year, you know, it's a brand new ball game.
Got time, I think, for a couple more. Go ahead.
John Hanna, Racing Information Systems. Jimmie and Chad, right now, if the chase were to start today, you and Brad and Tony would be tied for the lead. What lessons have you learned from last year's chase to apply to this year's chase?
You know, the chase last year wasn't the strong part of the season for us, and I feel like the product we're taking to the track this year is far superior to what we had then. So I feel like, you know, our shortcomings of last year are corrected right now. That's why I want the chase to start immediately, so we don't have time to be caught or lose our magic. You know, it's tough to stay on top consistently week in and week out and for a long stretch of time. So, you know, a 10-race stretch is just long enough to have some magic and watch it leave. And we watched Tony and what he did last year, and the magic he pulled through it. So when I look at it, I feel that we're going to be stronger than we were last year. And then last year's chase, with it being a tie and coming down to a tiebreaker, you know, every single point is going to count, and you need to win races. And we've always known that, but last year was more evident of that than ever.
Go ahead, sir.
Jimmie, talk about today, in summary, what made it happen for you today?
You know, we had a great race car for sure. That's the obvious part, but I think track position was really key in maintaining it. So the strong qualifying effort, and then the car was comfortable on restarts, and I was able to make quick work of guys and get by a lot of cars fast. And then our pit stops. Maybe I mentioned that, but pit road was key to not have any issues on pit road.